Hi students, I'm excited to share with you some tips, tricks, and more formatting ideas for Excel. Just so you know, I'm going to break these up into 15-minute segments and I'll record them and label them for what we're going over in that 15-minute segment. I think that will help some of you so you're able to follow along more as you do this at home, or you can skip to the parts that you want to learn about and you don't have to watch or listen to the parts you really don't care about. So today we're going to go over some more formatting things in Excel. I found this lesson very useful and I learned a lot for myself, so I'm hoping this is going to go over some of the things that maybe I didn't have the answers to in our last class and some of the things that you wanted to go over personally for yourself and learn in Excel. So I have an Excel spreadsheet and this goes over some S&P 500 stocks. Now, it doesn't really matter what's in this template in this file because I'm just going to show you how you can organize and format, and you could do this with any spreadsheet that you are working on in Excel. First things first, I want to look at my columns. I can tell right away that my columns aren't the right width for some of the stuff that's in my columns. So average volume gives me a bunch of hashtags. That tells me that these numbers take much more space than the width of my column. So if you recall last time, if you just click in between the two columns and you get arrows pointing two different directions, you double click and the column will be adjusted for the right width. I can see that's the case for column J also, so I'll click between J and K, double click, and it will adjust that column. I can also tell that's what I need to do between P and O and Q and R. Of course, I can do this at any point. Also between A and B, I'd like to see the whole name of the stock and not just part of it. Now, column 1 is our header column. That tells me anything that's in column A is a company. Anything that's in column B, that's their symbol. Anything in column C is their price. So I want to differentiate that column, that row 1, compared to everything else. I want everyone to know that is my title. And so I'm going to click on all of those words. So I'm going to click, hold, and scroll. And I'm going to change the color of that row and make those words pop a little bit more. Now, right here is our font box. This is where we can change our font, we can change our size, we can change the color, and we can change the color of the text. So I'm going to click on that box by the paint bucket, and I'm going to choose a color for that title row. And I'm also going to change the color of my font because I want that font to kind of pop, and if it's white, it does pop with a darker color. When I talk about cell formatting, that really means in Excel we want to draw attention to specific data. The data, however, might change over time, so having Excel change the formatting automatically for us is a really helpful thing in Excel. In this spreadsheet, we're interested in seeing which stocks are gaining or losing value. We can see that information in column D. So column D right here tells us what kind of change in price the stock is doing. We can see information in column D. Let's start by highlighting the cells where stocks are losing value at a rate greater than 75 cents. So I'm going to click on that D and you can see my arrow is pointing down. That's going to highlight everything in column D. This selects all the cells in column, even the cells without any data in them yet. That means as you add data, it will continue to apply conditional formatting to these cells. If we click and drag to select the cells which data already is in them, we're only affecting those cells. And this is really important because over time I might add or delete some of my data or some of my stocks. And so if I highlight the whole column, that means anything that I add will have this conditional formatting. All right, so I'm going to go to my styles group. Styles is right here, kind of in the middle, and I'm going to click on conditional formatting. Now this is a way you're going to sort your cells, and this is really useful and something I think you would probably use a lot as you work on Excel. All right, so we're going to click on highlight cells rule, and we're going to click on less than. So we're going to give Excel a formula, and anything less than 75 cents, it's going to highlight a color. So I click on less than, and I'm going to put minus, so negative 0.75. Press OK. That tells me anything that is losing right now. Okay, in this video, we're going to go over a couple more formatting tools that I believe you will find very helpful. Now, when we are looking at our spreadsheet, it can feel very intimidating because we can get lost on it so quickly. If I were to just scroll down and click on a cell, I have no idea what column L is. Or if I were to scroll over, I would have no idea column Q is referring to what. I don't know. So it's a way that you can navigate Excel in a better and easier way on your computer is to freeze columns and freeze columns and freeze rows. Now, if I'm on my Home tab and then I go to View, it gives me lots of different options. The thing I want to look at is Freeze Panes. So if I click on Freeze Panes, it gives me a couple options. It says Freeze Panes, keep rows and columns visible while the rest of the worksheet scrolls. Freeze top row, keep the top row visible while scrolling through the rest of the worksheet. That's very helpful. Freeze first column, keep the first column visible while scrolling through the rest of the worksheet. So let me just show you how this works. If I were to click on Freeze top row, notice as I scroll down, my top row stays, so I know exactly what is in that column. If I want to unfreeze it, I go back to Freeze Panes, and then I just click on Unfreeze. Now, if I wanted my first column frozen, I just press Freeze First Column. And once again, as I scroll over, I know exactly what stock Q is referring to. Now, sometimes you will want both the top row and that first column highlighted. So that's when you would just click on this first box and it says Freeze Panes. And as you scroll down, nothing in column A or nothing in row 1 changes, and we know exactly what we're referring to. This is a very useful tool, especially as you look at spreadsheets on your computer. The next thing we want to do is talk about a few shortcuts, and these shortcuts will help you once again navigate your Excel spreadsheet a little bit easier. If I press Control and then my top arrow, so my arrow pointing up, it takes me to the very top of my worksheet or my spreadsheet. If I press Control down arrow, that takes me to the very bottom of my spreadsheet. If I press Control left arrow, it takes me to the very left part of my spreadsheet. If I press Control right arrow, that takes me to the right, the very last of the most right I can go. So if I'm in Control up, takes me to the top. Control left arrow to the left side, control down arrow takes me to the bottom, control right arrow takes me to the right side of my spreadsheet. This is very useful, especially when you're using Excel maybe on a laptop. This will help you navigate that a little bit easier. The last thing I want to go over in this video is format as a table. When you're looking at this much data in a spreadsheet, it can be hard to read. Formatting as a table gives a visual element in the table that makes it prettier and easier to read. And this is really easy to do. So I'm going to press Control up arrow and Control side arrow. So I'm in the very A1, and I'm going to go to Home. So make sure I'm on my Home ribbon, and I'm going to go to Styles. And in the styles, you'll see a bunch of different things. We've already used the conditional formatting, but now we're going to go to format as a table. What's nice is there's so many options you can just choose from. So any of these, if I click on any of these, it comes up for where my data is, and then I press OK. And look, all of a sudden this becomes a little bit easier to read because it changes the style, and now every row has a different color or alternates colors. So when you work on this on your own, make sure to play around with this a little bit more, because this is very helpful, especially as you work more in Excel and have lots of data in there.